Hey guys, welcome back to episode 2. First off, I want to apologize if you notice the difference in the microphone quality. My microphone stand actually is broken, so I can't use my Shure mic. I have to use a headset mic. So I'll try and make this as clear and concise for you guys though as possible. But let's get started. Last time we finished our lesson with a completed sync map. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create a DayMaster so that we can sort of bring everything together. So let's get started by creating some multicam templates because we have some potential multicams that we're going to use here. You can see we have 2 different video tracks that are like the same scene.
My goodness.
It's the same thing, kind of wide. Since we're not going to be doing the typical way of selecting the clips in each bin and then doing the create multicam sequence from it, because we already have everything synced here in the sync map, so we can pretty much just copy them over to our templates that we're going to create. So let's get started by creating a new bin in our source footage called multicam templates. And I have some clips here that if I go over to the audio info, they have 2 mono channels. So this is a really good start. If you don't have a clip that has 2 mono or like just 1 channel, I'll show you how to fix that in a second. But for now, 2 channel is perfect. So I'm going to do create multicam source sequence. And I'm going to name it 2ch multicam template. I'm going to click create single multicam source sequence and make sure it's custom, otherwise you can't name it. So click OK. I'm now going to just cut that from there and paste it into my multicam templates. Now what I need to do to open this and be able to edit it and see everything going on is by control double clicking or command if you're on a Mac. Otherwise, if you just double click it, it goes into your source monitor. We want to be able to see our track mixer, so you need to be inside the template. So you can see, since I had 2 channels of audio, it gave me 2 tracks right here, which is perfect, and it already routed it for me perfectly. So as you can see, it's routed to channels 1 and 2, 1-2, 1-2, and it's panned left, right, left, right. So if you're confused and you're like, well, why isn't it all set to center like so? Well, the reason for that is for multicams, they have to be routed left, right, and then selected to different track output channel assignments, like it says right here, because when you bring the multicam, for example, like if I bring it into my sync map, if I click and drag it in here and it had stuff in it, if they were centered here, like so, it actually wouldn't play any audio back once you bring it into a sequence. Because you have to imagine each assignment sort of being like its own channel. So if they're all centered, they would like sort of interfere with each other, and they have to imagine it going to a different speaker each time in a way. So once it's brought into a sequence, it'll actually be centered. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to now duplicate this so I can create a 3 channel. Now if you had something that had more or less than 2 channels, I'm going to show you now how to add or take away channels. In this case, we're going to be adding. So I'm going to control double click this so I open it. And right off the bat, we don't have a 3rd channel, so we need to just add a track, add 0 video tracks, add 1 audio. And now we have a 3rd track here in the track mixer. And first thing we need to do is pan this left. So it goes left, right, and then if I want to assign this to tracks 3-4, it won't let me right away. What I need to do is actually change this to 3 so that we have 3 channels. And we also need to right-click the template in the project window, go to Modify, Audio Channels, and change this to 3. Then click OK. And change this, the track output assignment, to 3-4. Now, if you think this is really annoying, when you create like a template, you can just like import these templates and just use them over and over again. So you only have to create this once, pretty much for your whole life. And then it's pretty much just using the templates. So now we have 3, and if you want to create a 3 and make it a 2, so if you made your first template like a 3 channel or a 4 channel, all you would have to do is delete the extra channels here, change this to as many as you want, such as 2, and change this to 2, and modify audio channels to 2. So now I'm going to create a total of 5 channels. So I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to make this one into a 4 channel, and then make one more for a 5 channel. So again, double click it, Control, add a track, change this to 0, 1, modify audio channels, change this to 4, change this to 4, and pan this one right. So now we have left, right, and I'm going to change this one to pan 3, 4. So now we have a 4 channel, and lastly I'm going to make my 5 channel. Control double click, add track, 0 video tracks, 1 audio. Gonna change this in the modify. Change this to 5. Pan it left, and we're just going to change this to 5, 6. So remember, 1 and 2 get assigned to channels 1 and 2, channels 3 and 4 get assigned to channel 3-4, channels 5, 6 get panned to 5-6, 7, 8 to 7 and 8, etc. like that. It's very simple, but it's sometimes something that's easy to forget to do. So you can imagine if I had audio here on the 5th layer, and this was assigned to channels 3 and 4, it would actually play that audio back with the 3rd layer once you bring it into a sequence. So that's the reason for assigning the track, like so. So now we have all of our multicam templates. I'm just going to close these up, and now it's time to create our DayMaster. So I'm just going to minimize all this. And to create the DayMaster, all you have to do is duplicate the sync map. Like I said, it's going to be very similar to it. I'm just going to change it from, going to change the word sync map to DayMaster. So now we have our DayMaster, and I find that the editors use the DayMaster a lot, so I actually create a bin for it called DayMaster. It's a really great way for them to just sort of jump to it. That way you don't have to go through a whole bunch of other bins. So now we are here in the DayMaster, and what we're going to do is we're actually going to delete this extra audio for anything that has this pro audio. So make sure again that everything is synced up before you do this. So I think in the last video we synced everything up so that we're sure that everything's good. So I'm just gonna click this link selection button, and for anything with audio here, I'm going to delete it in the camera audio. So this has it, this does not. So I'm going to leave that alone because that has possibly some good field audio that might be backup. Delete this, delete this. Delete that, leave that alone, delete this. And looks like this clip also has something.
Pansky.
Okay. I'm going to click link selection again, and now what I'm going to do is just to clean things up, I'm going to move all this pro audio up by holding down Alt and pressing the up key. So that moves everything up and down freely of what you have selected. On a Mac, I think it's also still the Option/Alt key. It's that or it's Commands, but I'm pretty sure it's Alt/Option. And for these clips, this one here on the 3rd video track, I'm just going to move this down so it's a little cleaner as well. I just want everything nice and neat. This I can also move down because there's nothing below it. I just want everything clean. That looks like B-roll, since it doesn't have any separate audio, so I'm just going to leave that as is for now. We can move it later. What we want to do now is we want to go through everything one at a time. So I'm going to start at the beginning and move my way to the end. So this is just a single cam. So as you can see, there's just one video. And what we can do for this is very simple. We're going to select the audio and the video, right click it, and we're going to do merge clips. And we're going to name this. So I just watched the scene. It looks like it's just the car pulling up. This isn't scripted, so it doesn't have like a scene number or anything. So what I'm just going to call this is, let's see, van driveway 01. So I'm just going to name it that. As you can see, synchronized point, all of these are disabled because it's assuming, since it's from the sequence, that we already have it synced up. So it's actually going to sync it exactly like how it is here. So I'm going to click OK. And it creates it here. So I'm actually going to bring this over into scenes now, since this is reality. Scenes are sort of mixed in with B-roll if it has audio in a way. So we could either bring it into scenes or into B-roll. Well, I'll bring it into B-roll. So I'm going to give it the name of the day, 14/07/01. I'm going to call it van driveway. And it's up to you how detailed you want to get with this stuff. If there's a lot of different B-roll, you might just want to simplify it. But this is something to do actually with your post-producer, and you should be talking about how things get organized. So that's how you do merge clips. It's pretty simple. And then all you want to do is actually bring this into your DayMaster now. So if I left it the way it was and they wanted to go into the DayMaster and they do something like reveal in project, I want to see where the rest of this stuff is, and they do reveal in project, it actually goes to the source footage. We want them to be able to go to the merged clip. So you actually need to replace it in the DayMaster. And if they ever want to see what the source footage is, they can of course always just go to the sync map and look at where that was. So you would basically go through and do that for each of these. You would merge the clips. And merge clip actually used to be pretty wonky when you went into the online and it went to color. Merge clip would actually like not show the real name in it, so it wouldn't work. But lately I've been working with a colorist and everything's been fine. Oh, here we go, our first multicam. So here we have some extra roll here. We don't really need anything for the slates. So I'm just going to get rid of it just up to the slate. Right around there. Let me extend this back a bit. I'm just going to trim this off because honestly the editor doesn't need it. If there was something important going on here, I would keep it in, but it looks like it's just sort of messing around and the cameras aren't ready. So first thing we need to do is count how many audio channels this has. So if you actually make this a little bigger, you can see what the last channel is, channel 4. So if you can take a guess, we're going to use the 4-channel template. So we have 4 channels of audio here. So I'm going to select all of this. I'm going to copy it. Next thing is, and if you remember, so I'm going to select all this, copy it. Then I'm going to copy the start timecode for this clip. So I'm select again. This is pretty important, so I'm just going to go over it again. Copy the clips. Copy the timecode. Premiere can actually tell the difference between copying clips and copying timecode. Then I'm going to go into source footage, go to my multicam templates, go to my 4-channel template. And the first thing we want to do is we don't want to lose this template because there's going to be a bunch of other clips that are using the 4-channel. So I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to rename it to the day of the footage, 14/07/01 _. And this looks like, just right off the bat, this looks like attic work. So I'm just going to call this attic scene 01. And again, discuss with your producer or your editor how this should be organized best, and naming conventions, all that kind of stuff. So if I now control double click this, It should be empty since this is starting off as from the template. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change the start time code. And remember in the last video, I made a shortcut for start time. I made it Alt-T, but if you're looking for it and you don't want a shortcut, you just go to this panel here, start time, and we're going to paste that time code. Then we're going to paste the clips. It has to be in that order. You have to, I know we went over this a lot in the last video, but I can't bear in mind, please just keep in mind how important this is. Copy the clips, copy the time code. Paste the time code in the start time. You can't just paste it here because that'll just change where your playhead is. Change the start time to that and then paste your clips. Good. So now you can exit out of here, and again we're going to replace the clips here in the DayMaster with that multicam we just made. Oh. And if you're not getting everything in there, it's because I actually didn't have this selected. A1. I need to have my source channel selected. I'm going to make sure it goes in there at the same exact time. I'm just going to delete this extra clip here because if I now go to my multicam view, I can see both cameras in multicam. So this looks successful to me. Again, I'm just going to go in here, check everything. Everything's routed correctly. And if I play this back,
I'd much rather see solid ductwork.
Everything's good. You won't see waveforms. This is just how Premiere does it. If it's red, that's a pretty good sign. So the red means that it's just not rendered out. So you can actually see the waveforms if you just save and close it again. So I will show that at the end. But yeah, so that's a successful multicam brought into the DayMaster. So then all you would have to do is go through, oh, actually, almost skipped a step. We need to now move this into our scenes, this multicam. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into cut this so that I can move it. Oh, it won't let me actually. Skip that. I'm going to go into scenes. I'm going to create a bin. Give it the day again, so it's real organized. And we're going to call this attic scenes, or just attic. And we're going to just move this into that bin. Oh, what just happened? It didn't change the name for me. That's rude. Attic. There we go. So now when we do reveal in project, again, it goes to that bin instead of in the source sequence or in the multicam templates. So let's skip these since this looks like it's all sort of... Oh, actually, this is a good one to go over. So this is, again, a one channel. So we're just going to right-click this again and do merge clips. And we're going to just do 140701. And I don't want to give this guy's name away. Actually, you know, he's been on TV. We'll call him Jay. He's been on TV already. We already know his name. You can look it up. Jay Interview 01. And you might want to call this like SOD interview for start of day or end of day. There's things like that. Again, talk about your post producer, your editor to get through naming conventions. So I'll just call it J Interview 01. There it is. Replace it in the sequence now so that it is perfect. And then we want to move this into our interviews bin. So I'm going to create a new bin in interviews and call it 140701. I'm just going to call this interviews. I could make one for each person that gets interviewed, but for just intents and purposes, I'm just going to call these all the interviews. So once again, if we were to right click this and do reveal in project, it would go right there. So it's easy to find. Next thing I want to do for this episode is just show you one more multicam. This one has 5 channels, so let's just grab this one and here we go. So last thing I want to do for this episode is just one more multicam creation. So this one actually has 5 channels, so we can use the 5-channel one. I'm going to get rid of this extra I'm setting up. The editor doesn't need that. That's a waste of time for him or her. I don't want to be sexist, right? Let's select all of it, copy the time code. Let's go into our multicam templates, duplicate the 5 channel, name it 140701 bathroom scene 01. Let's control double click. Let's change the start time code. And let's paste the clips. Perfect. Let's replace that in here. Get rid of this extra clip up here that we don't need anymore. And let's move it into scenes and create another bin for that 140701 bathroom. I like to keep it all caps. Easier to read. Bathroom. Perfect. Going to move it into that bin, and again, it didn't rename it. I don't know what's going on with that. Bathroom. There we go. Okay, perfect. So that's going to be the conclusion for this episode. Next one, we're going to go over organizing all of these multicams and the B-roll for it. So we're also going to be creating string outs of just scenes and just interviews so that editors can jump to those quicker. So I'll see you guys for the next episode. Thanks for tuning in.